Why are you here? My mom asked coldly. Christmas for immediate family only. I smiled, left the bag on the counter and walked out. Then I cut them off and the next day my phone exploded with 32 panic calls. Why are you here? That was the first thing my mom said when I walked through the front door on Christmas Eve. No hello, no smile, nothing. Christmas is for immediate family only. He said it like I was some neighbor who wandered in by mistake. I just smiled, set the big bag of gifts on the kitchen counter without a word and walked right back out. It was 23 degrees outside, icy wind cutting through my coat, but I felt warmer out there than I did in that house. I didn't even make it back to the car before I blocked them all. Dad, my brother, my sister, even my brother's wife, who pretends I don't exist unless she wants something from me, like when she asked me last month to help her rewrite her resume, just this once. Then I opened my laptop in the parking lot of the gas station down the road and canceled the whole trip. The one I had paid for. Booked the flights. Reserved the Airbnb in Palm Springs with the heated pool and the mountain views because they said they wanted to finally travel as a couple again. Gone. I went home, turned off my phone, lit a candle and watched a movie by myself. And for the first time in years I didn't feel like I owed anyone anything. The next morning I woke up late. Made coffee. Sat on the couch in silence. Then I turned my phone back on. 32 missed calls. 17 texts. 6 voicemails. All from people who had no time for me the night before. The first message that came through was from my mom. Call me back immediately. What did you do? I didn't call. I didn't answer. I just watched the messages roll in like a storm. My sister texted. Why would you ruin Christmas for everyone like this? You're so dramatic. My dad's voicemail was worse. He never raises his voice, but that one wasn't calm. You had no right. This was not your decision to make. You better fix this before your mother has a breakdown. Fix what exactly? Being disinvited from my own family Christmas? Treated like some outsider at the door? The rest of the day I ignored them. I didn't respond to a single message. But I couldn't stop thinking about how fast they all flipped. Not when I was humiliated in their home, but when they lost something they wanted from me. And then later that night things took a weird turn. A mutual friend sent me a screenshot. My mom had posted a photo of me from years ago. High school, looking awkward and quiet, with a caption that made my stomach turn. Sometimes, despite all you do for someone, they turn on you. If you knew what I've been through raising this one, you'd understand. Sometimes a mother has to let go. Hundreds of likes. Sympathy comments. Someone from her church wrote, "You're so strong. You did your best." Strong for what? For kicking her daughter out of Christmas? Then came the kicker, she posted again. This time a comment on her own post. I won't go into the things she's done, but trust me, you don't know the half of it. Even threatened to expose family secrets if we didn't give in to her demands. We're tired of the manipulation. That was a lie. A disgusting one. I hadn't threatened anyone. I hadn't even raised my voice. I just left. I stayed up all night wondering if I should say something. Call her out. Tell my side. But something told me not to. Not yet. Because the story was starting to shift, and I wasn't the only one watching it happen. Her brother, my Uncle James, hadn't said anything in years. We used to be close when I was younger before everything got messy. But the next morning I woke up to a message from him. Just 6 words. You didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. I didn't know what was coming next, but I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. I didn't answer Uncle James right away. I stared at his message for a while, trying to decide what kind of sorry it was. Some people say that word when they just want to ease their own guilt. But James had never played sides before. He disappeared from most family things years ago, and I always assumed he just didn't care anymore. 3 hours later he sent another message. She crossed a line. I told her to take the post down. She refused. So it wasn't performative. He really had seen what she wrote. And he wasn't okay with it. Later that day I got another text, this time from my cousin Mia. She and I hadn't spoken much outside the occasional birthday message. But her text was blunt. I don't know what happened, but that Facebook post is unhinged. She looks obsessed. Then she followed up. Also, he told people at church you were arrested. WTF. I hadn't been. Ever. Not even a speeding ticket. So now she was inventing things. And it was working. A few of my old high school friends had started DMing me too, people I hadn't talked to in a decade. asking if I was okay, saying things like, "I hope whatever's going on, you know you can always reach out." That's code for, "We heard something bad. We don't want to say it directly, but we're dying to know." She was poisoning the well. I didn't post anything publicly. I didn't feed it. But James wasn't staying quiet. That night he called me. No small talk. Just got right into it. He said he went over to my parents' house that afternoon and confronted them. Not just about the Facebook post, but about what happened on Christmas Eve. About me being turned away at the door while everyone else was inside drinking wine and pretending I didn't exist. He told me that when he asked my mom what she meant by immediate family only, she said it wasn't personal. That I always isolate myself anyway, and that I make things awkward when I come around. So it was just easier if I didn't come. I just listened. None of this surprised me. Not really. Then James said something I didn't expect. I told her if she didn't delete the post I would. She laughed at him apparently. Said he was just as dramatic as me. That she was telling her truth. So he logged into her account. She hadn't changed the password in years. He helped her set it up when she first got Facebook. He deleted the post. The original and the follow-up. Then he called a few of the family members who had liked it. His sister, one of the cousins, and aunt who lives in Maine. He told them what really happened, or at least what he knew of it. He didn't beg them to take sides. He just told the truth. That I showed up on Christmas with gifts. Was told to leave. And left without causing a scene. That's it. He said most of them didn't even know I'd been there. And then he told me something that made me pause. Your dad said they were planning to talk to you about your place in the family after the holidays. That they were thinking of cutting you out of the will. I laughed. Not because I wanted their money, but because it proved everything I ever suspected. This wasn't about awkwardness. It wasn't about drama. It was about control. They thought I'd always crawl back. They never expected me to walk away before they gave me permission. At the end of the call, James said he was coming to town next week. He wanted to grab coffee, catch up. I said yes. Not because I fully trusted him yet, but because someone, finally, saw what I saw. And for the first time in a long time I didn't feel crazy. But the story didn't end with the deleted post. Because the next day my sister called my job. I was halfway through a meeting when my boss pinged me on Slack. Hey, can we chat for a sec? I had no reason to think it was anything serious. Probably a project update or some client nonsense. I joined the video call casually, expecting the usual. But the second I saw his face I knew something was off. He didn't waste time. I got a call this morning from someone claiming to be a concerned family member. Said you might be dealing with some, emotional instability. That you were recently involved in a domestic incident and might be a liability to the team. I froze. My first reaction was silence. Then confusion. Then this cold, crawling clarity. They said what? He wouldn't tell me who it was exactly, but I didn't need a name. It was my sister. I recognized her fingerprints all over it. Vague enough to be legally safe, personal enough to be damaging. And cruel enough to be effective. I explained everything in plain terms. Not dramatic. Not overly detailed. Just the truth. That I had a falling out with my family over the holidays. That someone was retaliating by spreading false claims. And that there was no domestic incident of any kind. He nodded slowly. I could tell he believed me. Or at least didn't want to get involved in whatever family circus this was turning into. You're fine here, he said. Just figured you should know. That conversation shook me more than I expected. I wasn't scared of losing my job. I was scared of how far they were willing to go. Family stuff is messy, sure. But calling someone's workplace and trying to destroy their reputation? That's not family drama. That's war. After the call, I sat on the floor for a while. No music, no distractions. Just silence and disbelief. Then I opened my text. One unread message from my sister, sent about an hour earlier. You brought this on yourself. That was it. Not even trying to hide it anymore. So I responded for the first time since Christmas. Thanks for making it clear who you are. Then I blocked her. A few hours later, I got a text from Uncle James. I heard about the work thing. Do you want me to talk to your dad? I told him no. I didn't need anyone to speak for me. What I needed was distance. Clear, sharp, undeniable distance. So I went back online and did something I hadn't done before. Posted. Not a full explanation. Just a message on my own terms. No names. No specifics. but enough to let anyone watching know I wasn't staying quiet anymore. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who say they love you. I'm done protecting people who try to destroy me in private and play the victim in public. If you know, you know. The comments came in fast. Some were just heart emojis or supportive nods. A few were clearly people from my mom's orbit trying to stir the pot. But the message was out there. And it didn't take long before it hit a nerve. Because the next night my mom showed up at my apartment. I wasn't expecting anyone. I hadn't told anyone where I lived, at least not recently. I'd moved 6 months earlier and kept it quiet for a reason. So when the knock came just after 8 p.m., I assumed it was a neighbor, maybe a delivery mix-up. But when I checked the peephole, it was her. My mom. Standing in a long coat, holding a leather purse she only ever brings out when she wants to look composed. Her face was unreadable, but her posture said everything. She wasn't here to apologize. I didn't open the door. She knocked again, then called my name through the wood. I'm not here to argue. I said nothing. I just backed away quietly and sat on the edge of my kitchen counter, waiting to see how far she'd go. After about 2 minutes she knocked again, softer this time. I saw what you posted. So I didn't move. I think you're overreacting and you're blowing things out of proportion. But if this is what you need to feel better, fine. Just stop dragging the family into it. Dragging the family? The irony almost made me laugh. She'd accused me of things I hadn't done, made up stories, painted me unstable, and somehow I was the one dragging the family into things because I posted 2 vague sentences about being hurt. He stayed out there for a while. Eventually she gave up. I heard her footsteps retreat down the hallway, slow and deliberate, like she wanted me to feel guilty. I didn't. But I also didn't sleep. Because after that post and her visit, something shifted. Quietly. The next morning I woke up to 5 new friend requests on Facebook. All from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. People who had distanced themselves after my mom told everyone I had chosen a different path and was emotionally difficult. I accepted one. A cousin named Rachel who used to babysit me when I was little. Within minutes she messaged. I always knew something was off. I'm sorry I stayed out of it. Your mom's been talking about you for years like you were some sort of shame. And then, you're not the only one she's treated like this. I stopped going to family holidays after she told me my husband wasn't welcome. I thought maybe I was being sensitive. But reading your post made everything click. I stared at that message longer than I cared to admit. It was like confirmation that I wasn't the broken one. That maybe I wasn't the only target. Rachel and I talked for hours. About things that happened over the years that never made sense. About who stopped coming to Christmas and why. About the chosen favorites and the others. It was like pulling threads on a sweater. The whole thing started to unravel. I wasn't isolated. I was removed, deliberately. And I wasn't alone. Later that week, Uncle James called again. This time I picked up on the first ring. She's spinning, he said. Trying to rewrite the narrative again. Telling people you've been mentally unstable for a while, and that you're trying to turn the family against her. Then he told me something that felt like a slap in the face. She's trying to get legal advice. Wants to see if she can serve you a cease and desist over your libelous social media post. I said nothing. He kept talking. She won't win, obviously. You didn't even name her. But she's doing this because she knows she's losing control. People are starting to ask questions. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the version of the family she built. One where she was the martyr and everyone else just didn't understand how hard it was to raise someone like me. James ended the call with one last thing. She doesn't know I've been recording our conversations. If she escalates, I'm releasing everything. I'm not protecting her anymore. The ground was shifting under her feet and she knew it. But she still hadn't hit bottom. That came 3 days later when her secret came out, and it had nothing to do with me. 3 days after the visit, after the warnings, after the legal threats that never came, everything blew open, but not the way I expected. It started with a post. Not mine. Not James's. It came from someone I never thought I'd hear from again. Aunt Linda, my mom's cousin. She posted a photo of a wedding from decades ago, then wrote a caption that seemed at first unrelated. Family history always finds a way to catch up with you. Some people build their image on lies and fear. But lies age badly. And some of us are done pretending. Took less than 2 hours before people started putting it together. Especially when someone, and I still don't know who, dropped the real bombshell in the comments. Didn't my mom take money from grandma's estate that was never accounted for? And suddenly it all clicked. Back when my grandmother died, there had been whispers about the will, about money that disappeared. Nobody ever said it directly, but it was there. That tension when the topic came up, the way some family members stopped coming to reunions afterward. My mom always insisted everything was handled privately and with dignity. Turns out she had quietly restructured the estate through a lawyer friend and rerouted a large portion of the inheritance into a private account. Not for caregiving, not for debts, just for herself and my dad. Everyone else got scraps. James messaged me that night. I didn't know the full amount until now. She took over $180,000. He'd found old bank statements. Copies. The kind you don't throw away if you're smart, or if you know your sister's been stealing from you. He confronted her again. She denied it, then pivoted, said the money was a gift from Grandma. That Grandma didn't trust the others, and wanted her to have it. But the will said otherwise. And now that it was out, people weren't taking her word for it anymore. Aunt Linda went full scorched earth. Posted screenshots of emails from years back where my mom tried to guilt her into silence. Messages like, "You don't want to embarrass the family. Let this go." Or, "You wouldn't understand. I sacrificed more than anyone." And then, "Agatha should never have been born. You all know that." That last one gutted me. I wasn't tagged, but it found its way to me through 3 different people. Even now, writing this, I don't know what to say about it. Except that when I read those words, something inside me finally stopped hoping. Because up until then, through the humiliation, the lies, the manipulation, there was still a sliver of me that wondered if I'd imagined it all. If I'd overreacted. If maybe deep down she still loved me in some twisted, messed up way. But you don't say that kind of thing about someone you love. You don't put that in writing. After Linda's post, the family group chat, the one I had long since left, exploded. Screenshots leaked. Alliances shattered. Cousins started choosing sides. James stayed quiet publicly, but I know he was busy behind the scenes making calls, showing people what he had. And slowly the tide turned. It wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't about Christmas or social media or even the job stuff. This was about decades of abuse, control, and silence. People started blocking her. Family members who used to treat her like the glue of the family stopped replying to her calls. She posted a long, frantic status about betrayal, spiritual attacks, and how people were being manipulated by someone she once considered her child. That last line told me everything I needed to know. She didn't just lose control. She lost the story. The version of events she curated for decades, where she was the long-suffering mother, the generous sister, the faithful wife, was collapsing in real time. And by the time Halloween rolled around, the same people who ignored me on Christmas were texting me to ask what I was doing for Thanksgiving. James included. But this time it would be different. Because this time she wouldn't be invited. Thanksgiving came colder than usual that year. I drove up to James's cabin, a quiet spot a couple hours outside the city. There was no grand welcome, no speeches, no forced hugs. Just a handful of people who had once been scattered and quiet now finding each other again. Rachel brought pies. Aunt Linda showed up with folding chairs and zero small talk. James grilled instead of roasting a turkey, said we were making new traditions. No one objected. I was nervous at first. There were a few awkward glances, a few pauses where someone almost brought her up. But no one did. Not out of fear, just because no one wanted her there. Not in the air, not in the room. Halfway through dinner, James raised a glass. Not a toast, just a quiet gesture. He looked at me, then everyone else. "We're not broken," he said. "We just finally stopped pretending." That was it. No one clapped. No one cried. We just ate. Later that night, sitting outside on the porch, I checked my phone. One unread message. From my mom. "You'll regret cutting us off one day. Family always comes back around." I didn't reply. I just deleted it. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged, not to the family I was born into, but to the one that remained after the truth finally surfaced. The quiet, steady pieces that didn't leave when it stopped being convenient. That was enough. That was everything.